Hello and welcome to the ultimate guide to startups or Startup Hub. Today we're covering a part two of recruiting boards, basically recruiting an effective board of directors. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper on, basically the process of recruiting a good board of directors. I've done this track several times at different coaching sessions uh, in with the Institute of Advanced Materials here in Berlin and in Europe, and in other sessions as well with different research labs and institutions. At any rate, we talked before on the previous video that you should recruit for active members and not just names, right? That is really, really important. That you bring members that can actively help you. Good names are going to give you credibility, but they really can't compare with action, right? So that's number one. Making sure that you have clear vision and mission. We already discussed that. That you need to develop and articulate a clear vision and mission, so that when you recruit, um, you interview for special skill sets and networks. But what we didn't cover in the previous video is that you really need to build a right size board, right? Not too big, not too small, but manageable, right? And also that you define good roles and responsibilities, and you build a culture that invites debate. That's really, really important. That you're working on that open dialogue that can make a difference, right? When you're recruiting, make sure that just like a recruit for a management team member, that you have a statement of qualifications so that you bring diversity into what it is you're recruiting and the types of positions that you want to bring. You want to be people from legal with operational background, with a finance background, all these different areas, right? You want to be able to bring a good diversity that's going to help you do that. But you know as you prepare your recruitment package, make sure that you know you do your homework, that you request referrals from colleagues to identify appropriate candidates, that you do your research on the target ideal candidates. uh, you should hold recruitment events for your board and really interview well the ideal candidates, because the culture needs to match, right? You need to manage and develop a high performance sort of environment. So just like a normal management team member, you want board members that are going to be engaged. You're going to have to assign tasks. um, it's important that you cultivate the right membership, but also that for every board meeting that you get organized, you do your homework, you manage the right agenda, you get the information ahead of time for every board meeting, because it's always disrespectful that you call for a meeting and nobody knows what the hell they're going to talk about. So please get the data ahead of time so that the board members can digest it, read it, and when they come to your board meeting, they have solutions to your problems. They're not just reading the problems right there and there. And do ask questions and make sure that they've actually prepared, right? I have actually developed 7 key steps that I normally use on basically how do I present the board for the first time? How do I make my board better? What's the structure of the board of directors? What should be, what should the board of directors consist of? What are the key features of an effective board of directors? Um, and how do I recruit for just active members, not just names, right? So, how to present the board of directors for the first time? It's important that you have a clear brief, so that you prepare the communication brief for your management team, but for them. And you prepare a presentation, right? So that you have an understanding of whom you're presenting. Uh, and this is like an interactive advertisement that you're presenting, right? Listen, be respectful, and again, be prepared to be challenged and learn. You know, it doesn't make sense to have board of directors that are going to be yes people all the time. You as an executive or as a founder of your startup, you want the board members to challenge you. If you are challenged, you're going to become better and the startup is going to be better. So don't be afraid of being challenged. There is nothing worse than a board that is always saying yes to you. You're never going to learn, you're never going to evolve. So how do I make my board better? Again, understanding the role and responsibilities, you know, uh, lead but not manage them. Engage with your other board members. You need to provide strategic, make sure that there is strategic vision from them. So they're giving you, you're providing and you're receiving strategic feedback rather than operational support. The board members should not be operational. Very seldom do they need to jump in and cross the line where they become operational. Um, you should have a regular turnover in a succession plan for board members. As your company changes, maybe should you board members as well, right? Some of them will commit to an ongoing learning and development, but it's very difficult to change the diversity of board members. So maybe it's a good strategy to have some kind of a rotational program and you inform them ahead of time so they have the right expectations that they're not going to be sitting on your board forever. So again, get the right information at board meetings and the agenda is prepared ahead of time and the information is disseminated ahead of time. What should be the structure for your board of directors? Well, the board of directors is sort of an elected panel, right? Or it is an elected panel in a company representing the company shareholders and includes, of course, high level corporate position holders. The board of directors composition differs from the organization or company to company. Initially, there will be the CEO, the board's chairman, other directors, non-executive directors, VP, CFOs, zonal heads, etc. Make sure that you bring diversity so that you are challenged and you have different views. There is no sense, again, of having a good board of directors if the meetings are not interactive and if it's all just approve, 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 and nothing really happens. So there are certain characteristics that I consider to be, for the board to be effective. And I call them attributes, right? Because actually they're traits. Board members should have a certain level of emotional intelligence. Everybody talks about emotional intelligence. It is real, but you need to make sure that it's a collaborative, just like any leadership position. You don't want toxic leaders, you want collaborative leaders. So you want board members that, yes, they might have a certain level of emotional intelligence, but you don't want to recruit doorknobs or people that are counter work or that are political driven, people that all they do is create problems. They want to be able to have, you want to make sure that they have the ability to commit, right? These are active members that are committing their time and effort to help you in the venture. I recruit for equanimity. I don't know if you know what that is, but for me, equanimity is board members that are calm and composure, especially in difficult and stressful times. Why? Because when you have a startup, especially at the beginning when you're living in fumes, if you don't have a lot of VC and you have to make payroll and whatever, you're going to be stressed. So your board members in a way need to be soothing and provide a level of calmness and offer help and solutions to your problems because maybe you're not going to be as composed and as calm in the board meetings. So having that equanimity or calmness and composure is going to help you on the meetings and it's going to help you reflect and think. The ability to prepare is very, very important. So just like you prepare for them, they're going to prepare for you. So be demanding in a way that when you give them the data ahead of time, that you tell them that you expect them to read that and to prepare ahead of time asking for their help so that that board meeting is fruitful. Because there is nothing worse than going to a meeting unprepared and the meeting is just a disaster and you have only so many hours for the board meeting and they're reading things on the fly or asking really questions that shouldn't be asked at the beginning, right? They should already read the material, and if they have any important and key questions, ask them then. But so that ability to prepare needs to be there. They need to be open-minded, meaning that they have to have an open mind, allowing you to make mistakes, allowing your team members to know that it is okay not to be okay. Um, they need to be mindful of your impact. They need to have a certain level of bravery. Um, and they also need to be dispassionately passionate or being unemotionally rational, if you will. Um, this is going to be good for, again, when things are getting hairy or stressy. You need to make sure that these people are, also a bit unemotional in their approach. So again, the interviews that you're having to recruit board members, you need to be looking for the traits on board members. Get to know them because they're going to be there for you for a while. And you know you can't change horses in the middle of a race, and you're going to be in a constant race. Yes, sometimes you have to make changes, but every time you change a horse in the middle of the race, you're going to lose. So some battles you're going to lose, some battles you're going to win. So please be mindful of that. So what are going to be their primary functions, right? Well, they are normally, uh, you know, like any corporation, the board of directors has a legal and financial or fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. But also, I mean, if the company becomes public or whatever, then they're even more responsible. So you need to understand what are their primary functions that they serve, um, so that you have, you know, that level of responsibility, um, and care for the shareholders, right? So that is really important. So just to conclude, um, recruit active members that can really help you. Again, good names are going to give you fantastic credibility, but it doesn't never compare with action. So if you look for the traits that I mentioned and you really pay attention, your board is going to be effective, but they're actually going to help you out. So nothing compares with that. So start early, plan. Get your startup going, but just as you identify a management team, start identifying board members very early on. You cannot leave this for the last minute because if you do, you're going to make mistakes. So, with that, I thank you. Please don't forget to share and subscribe. Thanks.